What a week of golf we had. The Dechambros are back, and we are ready to talk everything Bay Hill. We're ready to talk big wins for us, big wins for, of course, Russell Henley. So, Danny, you ready to get into it?
Let's get into it. What a week. What a week we had last week. So last week was the Arnold Palmer.
It sure was.
And, what a week it was. What a week it could have been for our fantasy team as well. We'll get into that in a little bit here. But like you said, Russell Henley with a -2 on the final day to win the event. Morikawa. Can we start our conversation with Morikawa?
Do you want to start with Colin? I have a whole lot of notes with Colin. Let's get right into Colin then.
Let's do it.
I mean, what an absolute way to choke a tournament away. And I mean, it was a really good week, I think, for us as the Dechambros. We had a pretty exciting Sunday, being able to finally sit down together and watch a Sunday. Played a nice little round of golf on the Rapsodo in the garage.
Yep.
And got to watch Colin just wither away on Sunday. And
Yeah.
I asked you, on Sunday, we were kind of talking about it a little bit, but I'm going to ask you again. I mean, Colin Morikawa, is he a COVID golfer? Can he golf under pressure?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, he can golf under pressure. He's on the PGA Tour. He put up an even on, one of the hardest courses on a Sunday. That's not like he went +6 on Sunday.
Right, but he put up an even round when he had the lead and when a lot of players went low. On the easiest scoring day of the weekend, he just kind of coasted with an even and ultimately lost his lead. And I mean, when I take a look back at it, Colin only has one win. It was at the one win since 2021 at the Zozo. Since then, he's lost 3 out of 4 playoffs that he's had. I mean,
I'm pretty sure he's gotten, since 2020, he has 10 second overalls.
10 of them. I didn't see that.
10 or 9. I can pull up the statistic for us. I mean, here's the thing, right? So I saw his response to everything. He posted, no excuses, never had any, but always nice reminder. Honestly, though, this one stings. And, I like that. I like that response a lot. You know what I mean? I've seen some players react really negatively to, to situations like this. And I mean, it's any given Sunday, right? Like on that kind of a golf course, if things are going, and on days where it's not quite going, to put up an even and contend and almost win it is pretty good. I do understand, it's has the feeling of, cracking under pressure and not performing, but I mean, it's not a crack for me. It's more a chink in the armor.
Well, here's the facts of it. I mean, there's no getting away from it. Colin is a ball striker, but he has not been an elite ball striker since 2021. And I mean, obviously he won the PGA Championship in 2020, COVID major, right? Yep. No fans, no pressure. He won the Open 2021, again, COVID. Hasn't been able to get his game back to where it was back then. And there's one thing when you say, hey, it's a chink in the armor. At this point, I think the armor is cracked right fucking open. I mean, how many times can you come that close to winning before every single time you get that close to winning, that's the only thing that you have in your head? I mean, that's a worry. That's a concern.
I'll put it to you this way. In Tiger's time, how many other players were like Tiger?
None.
Right? I mean, we can't expect them to win golf is really hard to put 4 days in a row of, -4, -3, -6. And then it is really hard. He did really well this weekend. And I think that we have this bias to expect, we see someone at the leaderboard, on the last day, they need to go -8. When the pressure is on, like you're saying, even is a good score in that. It didn't get him the win. I understand that. But at the same time, I don't think we can expect every single golfer to be that special. And I think that's what we expect out of a lot of names that we see on these leaderboards is, you're leading on Sunday going into it. You need to win this tournament. a lot of really good golfers have done this exact same thing and not won. And I mean, he's still super young. So to say, anything about like, well, where's his golf? Like the golf game's only going to go up, in my opinion.
I mean, here's my problem with that statement. And I am in no way, shape, or form saying Colin's washed. He's a shitty golfer. A second place finish is a fucking phenomenal finish when you're on the PGA Tour. But when you kind of, 100%. But when you break out on the scene and you win 2 majors in 2 years, maybe he's just a victim of, expectations being set higher than they should have been. And realistically, if he didn't win those 2 majors, if Colin was not a major champion, this conversation would look a lot different.
Honestly, I put him in the category of golfers like Wyndham Clark. The exact same category, in my opinion. Now, Wyndham doesn't have as many majors. You know what I mean?
Right.
Last year, like the tournament that we have coming up this weekend here, the Players, I mean, Wyndham lipped out. It looked like it went inside the hole and then lipped out, or else he would have pushed for, a playoff, and we'd be talking about Wyndham in a whole other light, if he won that tournament last year.
100%.
I see him just like Morikawa. They're on the verge. Like there's all these players that are really on the verge of becoming superstars. They're just not there yet. But that doesn't mean they're not good golfers. They're the top of the top. It's just they're not that Scotty Scheffler level star yet. And I see them on their way to being that.
And that's where the disconnect in this conversation is because...
Yeah, maybe not Scotty. That's aggressive. But
Yeah. Scotty aside, just the comparison to Wyndham. Wyndham, I see as a rising star, and Colin, I see as a star that has fallen off.
Why? I feel like they're the exact same age.
Age has nothing to do with it. It has to do with when you come into your golf game. And Colin Morikawa came into his golf game 5 years ago, knocked off 2 majors, and has done nothing since.
So you think he's going to be a Ricky Fowler?
That's my worry.
That's what you think Morikawa's going to be? I don't think so.
100 million. That's an absolute yes.
Yeah. I understand where you're coming. I don't agree, but I see where you're coming, like how you can get there. I guess time will tell.
Well, and Ricky doesn't have majors, so that's a big difference as well, too, right? But 100%, that is the unfortunate part of, that's the category right now that I see Colin slowly falling towards. And again, second place finish is a great finish, but we watched him choke away the Masters last year. We just watched him choke away Bay Hill. It seems to be an ongoing trend that Colin can play phenomenal golf, but cannot get it done when the pressure is on.
Hey, I remember someone saying something like that about our main man, Xander. And then look what he did eventually.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But again... different categories in terms of, coming into the spotlight and coming out of it, right? I do see the differentials, but let's not take anything away or take any conversation away from what Russell fucking Henley did this week.
Hey, 2 weeks ago I said he was the best golfer on the course that week. And then this week, it just turns out to be the truth again. Like what a great,
phenomenal, and
great day.
He did it in spectacular fashion to chip an eagle that the broadcast missed, which we gotta be.
That's tough.
We gotta be better.
That's tough.
We gotta be better. Like I honestly thought that I missed it. You know what I mean? Like I was looking at my phone, you were inside, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just wait for him to come back. And I hear the cheer and I look up, I'm like, what the fuck? Rewind it? No. The broadcast got it when the ball was already in the air. Like we gotta be better. And that leads me to a good question that I have for you. How much do you care if the golf you're watching
Zero.
is live?
I already knew what you were about to ask me. Zero. I don't understand why golf isn't put on a 5-minute delay. And so they just kind of pre-plan what shots the public is going to see.
100%.
Like,
and I mean, there has to be
other sports do things like that all the time.
And I 100%. I mean, I was watching the game the other day with the guys, and we were betting like we do. And we all know the rule: when you got money on the line, put your fucking phone away, because you're always going to get that alert and go shit and look up, and then there's a breakaway. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing when I watch golf, right? Like, I'm not actively checking the leaderboard on my phone if it's on. Now, if I'm in one of the 10 fucking million commercials they seem to want to put on, I'm going to leaderboard watch. But I don't think that there's any problem with coming back from a commercial and then just going straight to Russell Henley's chip. Like, it's happening at that time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even need you to say, here's what you just missed, or this is what Russell Henley just did. Like, literally hit me with that Rolex commercial, and then boom, Russell Henley setting up for his chip. He's got, talk about his lie. Like, he had a nasty lie. That chip was incredible.
Yeah.
Like, what a fucking shot. What a turn of momentum to go from a two-shot swing and, you know what I mean, get himself into the lead, which he ultimately was able to hold on to and win the tournament. But I'm with you right there, brother. Like, I don't want to see a shot 10 minutes later.
No.
Like, I don't want to not see the shot either, especially when that's like the monumental moment of the tournament. If you can look at the entire 72 holes and say what one hole decided the round and what one shot decided the round,
can't miss it.
We fucking missed it.
Yeah, you can't miss it. I mean, truthfully, hearing all that, it's, you know, the way my brain works, so freaking random. I just think of like whoever's working the television and saying like, okay, go to this shot, go to that. Like, how stressed out and crazy that must be if it's a live. If it's like, oh, this is happening right now. Switch it.
Go.
Like, just like sweating buckets, running back and forth between the studio, making sure they're switching cameras. And I mean, I'm sure they're not running, but just give them 5 minutes. Give them a little bit of peace of mind. Give them that 5-minute breath room and let them kind of coordinate and plan a better event for us viewers at home. I fully agree with that.
He definitely wasn't running, but I guarantee you he was fucking screaming to try and get that shot on there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we can open up a whole, can of worms and talk about the atrocity of the amount of commercials. I mean, realistically, kind of neat having the Rapsodo up, because I didn't notice the commercials truly as much, just being focused on, our match that we were having, and then, going back and forth between it. So made it a really enjoyable Sunday to be able to spend with my brother in that sense. But it literally seemed like every single time I looked at the commercial, I saw one shot, and then it was in the commercials again.
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, all I took from this weekend is get yourself a simulator and watch golf while you're playing. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. 100%. Let's get into a few other good scores. I mean,
absolutely. Let's get into it.
It seemed like Saturday was a big moving day for a lot of the leaderboard. A lot of people had some bad days on Saturday, but I want to talk a little bit about the good on Sunday here. So Captain Keegs, he went -8 in the final round to get a nice push up that leaderboard.
Incredible. Captain Keegs also setting a new scoring record for the front nine at Bay Hill. Goes out with a 29.
That was actually Shane Lowry, I thought.
No, it was Keegan Bradley.
Shane Lowry went -6 in the front nine for a 29. Almost 100% positive. And then Shane Lowry went -1 on the back.
Let's look right here. Birdie.
There we go. Yep.
Birdie.
There you go. Yeah, and then even on the back. Okay.
So that's -7, out 29. Yep. Gotta love computer. That's the difference between some technology and some old school piece of paperwork there, my brother.
Yeah.
What'd Shane Lowry do? Let's see him. Look at this.
-6 final day. Yeah.
30. No, not even a -6 final day.
On the final score, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah. -6 in total. Yeah. So a little bit of a mix up with some paperwork and some computers, but thank God somebody is in, the century that we live in and brought his
pushes
laptop
up to a T5 finish.
Yeah.
Pushes up. It was very nice.
Let's get back to Keegan, because my God, what a showing from Captain Keegan. I mean, the really interesting part on that too, and I did put this this note down in here later in later in the podcast. But that puts Captain Keegan in 15th in points.
Sure does.
For the Ryder Cup. So, I mean, I feel like we continue to talk about it, and I love that we do because he's continuing to edge closer and closer and closer and closer. And I mean, obviously we get 12 players into it, right? He's not there. You have 6 of them that, you know, are guaranteed in the top 6. So we're still quite a bit away from him making it on points. But I mean, with the start that he's had now and the Ryder Cup not being until September, if he keeps on this roll, he's going to have a very important decision to make on whether he's a playing captain or whether he's just a captain. And just curious on your thoughts on what do you think his kind of role would be if he plays his way on?
Yeah. So, I mean, truthfully, it's hard for me. I feel like this year, Captain Keegs has had amazing days, but they all, like, none of it has worked out into an amazing full finish. This is his best finish, right? T5 by far, and that's because he had an insane Sunday. But, you know, give him an average day, a -2, and he's, you know, back in the 30s and the 20s, and it's a whole different conversation. I don't know in my head if he's done enough to be a player in the tournament as of yet. I know you're saying he's top 15 now, and, you know, top 12 mathematically should be what you're looking at. It never ends up being that way. There's always some snubs. There's always this, that, the other pick, right? Right now, if I'm Captain Keegs and I'm only 15, I'm not putting myself on the team, and I'm only being the captain. I mean, if he wins the tournament, 100%. If he gets some more kind of top 10 finishes this year, now I understand. Now you've played yourself in. You should be on the team. As it is right now, I think he should just be captain.
I mean, 100%. And that wasn't really what, like, my question was, what if he does play himself on? Because, I mean, he's already made it very clear that if he has to be a captain's pick to be on the team, that he will not pick himself. But what I find very interesting, I'll put this out into 2 points. First, I'm going to say what's very interesting is that in a Ryder Cup, you want the absolute best team that's out there. So say even Keegan plays himself to being number 7 or number 8. Like, you are the best person for that team, and you have to make that decision. Am I better off just being a captain and coaching my team to the victory here? Or am I more valuable as the 7th, 8th, or 9th best player? And who is going to take my place? And if that player that takes his place does not perform, it just opens more questions as well.
The only thing I like within that thought process, the only area for criticism is if he picks someone over him and that person doesn't perform, or if he picks himself and he doesn't perform. Because
there's a lot of questions.
In my head, what is the captain of a Ryder Cup team do beyond pick who's going when and where? That's all you're doing, but there's no true coaching. What is he going to coach into Scottie Scheffler's head that Scottie Scheffler doesn't already have in his game or know? Like,
I mean,
that's like the word coach. It's weird for me when you're talking about the number 1 player in the world having the coach be the number 15 player from that country, and now he's his captain and has to tell, like,
I think that's absolute nonsense, because every single sport has a coach. So that's like saying, who the fuck is the coach to Wayne Gretzky? The coach was still the coach, right? Who's the coach to Aaron Rodgers? Who's the coach to
What are they
Tom
coaching
Brady?
them on then?
What are they coaching the team on? One, strategy, who they're going out with, who they're pairing with, what times they're going out with.
That's the one thing I said is the only thing is that's the only role they have is pairing people up.
That's a major role.
Okay.
That's an absolutely massive role. Like, I don't know why you're just rolling that out like it's nothing.
Because it feels like a nothing burger to me. I don't know.
You need to watch more golf. You need to watch more Ryder Cup then, because that is the most important aspect of the Ryder Cup. Who you pair up with. Are you going to pair up 2 good iron players? Are you going to pair up a long driver and a short wedge player? What balls do they play? Because they're going to have to play alternate shot, which means they're going to have to play each other's balls. There's a whole lot that goes into the Ryder Cup that makes it this beautiful, competitive thing.
It's nice. I love how, you know, captivating you are around this. I don't give a fuck about any of that. I really don't.
You don't give a fuck about the Ryder Cup.
Well, no, I don't. I really don't, because I don't feel like I have any team to root for. I'm not going to root for
America?
No.
You're not going to root for Team USA?
No, I'd rather root for a Canadian team.
so then you have the international team.
But that's not the Canadian team. That's the international team. The Ryder Cup has never been as big for me as it is for you. I know you love it to a weird extreme. It's not as important to me on the schedule. And I really don't think that the captaincy, I don't know. I don't see it as important as you do, obviously. But
well, then you know what? I really don't see an importance in this conversation because there's going to be no hype behind it. I mean, I will say before we move on from the Ryder Cup, if I was Captain Shane and not Captain Keegan, and Keegan's at 15, I'm fucking picking him. 100% the hype that he has, the love that he has for the game, the love that he has for the Ryder Cup. I think that he brings a hell of a lot more value to this team than you think at this moment, or that you care to think. And I would 100 million% right now, if Keegan Bradley was not chosen as the captain, I would have him as a 100% guaranteed captain's pick as of right now.
Okay. Love that for you.
Let's move on, though, because obviously Bay Hill was not the only tournament that was played this week on the PGA Tour. We also had the Puerto Rico Open, which obviously I didn't watch a second of. And
I mean, I unfortunately watched a few holes, and that happened when I went out for lunch on Saturday and asked to have the PGA on at the bar, and within 20 minutes it switched to the Puerto Rico Open because it was that 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever timeline it was when it switches broadcast. And then that same thing happened to us on Sunday for a hole or two there before we caught on that it switched over to the Puerto Rico Open.
It did. And I mean, Puerto Rico Open, again, it's an alternate event. It's not, it's one of those mule events where names can start to make a name for themselves. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because that's what we have. Moving forward throughout this season, obviously major season is just around the corner. And for all 4 of the majors, we get to pick a new team. And I'm really interested to see where this gentleman ends up on that team. So Carl Phillips wins. Young Aussie kid, only 23 years old.
YouTube star, too. I haven't seen any of his YouTube stuff, but...
I haven't either. I'll tell you right now, I definitely need to.
Yeah.
Because it caught the eye of none other than Tiger Woods himself.
Got himself a little phone call, didn't he?
Not only did he get himself a little phone call, he's actually the first sponsored athlete of Sunday Red.
Oh.
Which is really, really cool to have. You'll love this too. Kid's nickname is Koala Carl.
I love that a lot.
So I thought that was great. You being a big name guy. Koala Carl showed up this week in Puerto Rico.
Syphilis Carl. Koala bears, they have syphilis. Look it up.
Okay.
Google it. Like 80% or 90%, I swear to God.
I mean,
they all have syphilis. It's really weird, dude.
I can honestly say I never in my life planned on fucking a koala bear.
So not at all. But I mean, now you have that information and you can just
it's another reason to steer away from koala bears.
There you go.
Koala Carl, who I hope does not have syphilis.
It's up in the air, guys.
Shot a 65, 67, 66, 64, wins by 3 strokes. He was the Korn Ferry Rookie of the Year last year. This is his first win on the PGA Tour in only 4 starts. So you want to talk about rising stars. This is where that starts to happen. Won last year in the Korn Ferry Tour, got his tour card this year, and has already started to make some waves. So I think that's definitely a name that we have to put on our radar.
Yeah.
Come major season and come kind of revamping of the team for those 4 different weeks. And really excited to see what else this Sunday Red athlete can do on the tour.
Yeah, I mean, Puerto Rico Open, they went low. I think it was like a -20 or -21, which was the final score, right? So I'd love to see him in a really challenging field and really learn more about his game. Is he an accuracy guy, right?
For sure.
I don't know. Good for Koala Carl. Hopefully he doesn't have syphilis, but definitely interested. I'm gonna look him up. I'm gonna look up that kid's YouTube stuff because he had some personality. I saw an interview with him afterwards, and kid has some personality there.
Beautiful. So let's move off to Puerto Rico. Let's go back to Bay Hill and let's take a look at how the Dechambros do in this segment of fantasy feats and failures. So how do we do, Tan?
All right. So we had 10 players in the field this week at the Arnold Palmer, and we actually had 7 of them make the cut. Our guy, Xander, actually made the cut on the number. Very happy to see that. So he kept his cut streak free and continuous there.
Let's stop there for a second. Is this a disappointing first showing back for Xander, or are we kind of, I mean, you said it yourself last week.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I expected this, and that's why I said what I said, trying to nudge you in a different direction than picking him. Not everybody's Scotty, and so I asked about Scotty, and Scotty did well. I'm like, great, that just serves against my point, so I didn't push the point further, right? But not everyone's Scotty. Not everyone can take that kind of an extended break off and just come back with a hole in their hand and still score in the top 10, right? Xander had a few good days. He did. Unfortunately, Sunday was probably one of his better days there. He went -3 and really pushed him up the leaderboard there. He was tied for last place. But, with that, to answer your question, I kind of expected it. Cool. I really did. I think that it's, he's only going to get better.
So Xander watch is over. Not worried about the disappointing finish, I'd say, and excited to move forward.
Yeah, not upset yet, not worried yet. I mean, it's his first true start in, a little while there since the injury. He's going to be playing this week as well, and he's going to be, I think he said that he might even play one more before the Masters there. So, we might be able to see him a few times leading up to the Masters, and hopefully, his form kind of matches more with his Sunday. His Sunday outing.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move forward then.
Yeah.
So we had seven players kind of to making the cut. Obviously, Xander took himself out of last place, but that put another guy on our team, Mr. Eric Cole, down there in 50th.
Yeah, E. coli put himself in 50th with a tough last day there. I think he only went -2 or -3 on the last day, but
he went +2.
Yeah, +2. Perfect. That's I was right. So for the weekend though, Saturday, I think this is the weekend of what could have been for us. I messaged you Saturday and I said it in the message. I don't want to get too excited because I know it's going to change, but goddamn, look at this leaderboard. We had 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we had like a 17, a 20, a 21, and then we had 50 with Xander and like a 40-something with E. coli. Unfortunately, it didn't stay that way like it was on Saturday, but we did really well. We ended up 34th overall out of the tournament. Out of 310, we were 34th, which brings us down. We were in 124th place starting this weekend. And after this weekend, we're now in 82nd place.
Beautiful. So we've passed that top third that I've been trying to have us crack for, the last 10 weeks now in a row, putting ourselves in a really good spot moving forward. And it's too bad that tournaments are 4 days for us. I mean, if only we could have pulled off a Wyndham Clark and had a 54-hole tournament, we would have been the money.
Yeah,
you know
not
what I
just
mean? But
that. I mean, even thinking about like what the day it could have been, taking out Saturday and some of the bad performances. How about Corey Connors?
Let's talk Corey Connors.
I was going to bring him up earlier, but I knew we'd have a good conversation in our fantasy with him. But
I mean, Corey Connors. So it's hard for me because it's a fan, and this is where my head always gets fucked up with golf, because we just had this conversation of, Colin went even. That's still a great round on a hard course, and he came in second. Corey Connors went 15 fucking pars in a row. If I remember it correctly, I think there was 12 birdie putts in a row.
It was the first 12 he hit green in regulation with a birdie putt, and he left I watched 5 be one full rotation of a ball or less away from dropping. Like, he was a few rotations away from being -6 today and running away with the win.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if,
in my head, Shane, that's worse than Morikawa.
That's absurd.
Having what could have been you have 12 opportunities to drop a bird in and you don't hit one of them compared to just not having your best round on Sunday. Like, I would beat myself up more having a Corey Conners day than I would have having an even Morikawa day.
I mean, I think I'd be beating myself up a little bit on both, but
For sure.
I would rather be chasing and not be able to have the putts sink than be leading and lose the tournament. I think it's absolutely absurd to say that Corey Conners' third place finish is worse.
Okay,
than
and more.
Colin's
So here's
second.
the question: if Morikawa had the same day as Corey Conners, okay, Morikawa was up and down in his actual. He had birdie, he went par or bogey. If he had 12 in a row chances for bird, missed all of them, and lost by one, what is that difference in his brain compared to how he played on Sunday and him
Consistent play always is better. Consistent play means I'm right there. The putts just didn't drop. An up and down day means I was all over the place and couldn't get it done. Those are two completely different storylines.
I think I'd be more frustrated with the Corey Conners. Everything was working except for just one thing, and it's like you could have.
I mean, I think it would be a little bit different if he left a lot of putts short, right? And I mean, at some point in the day, if all of your putts are staying short,
How about on the 10th green? How about the 11th green? Right?
You know what I mean? Like, start hitting them just a little bit harder. I'd rather, if I'm, 5 or 6 holes in a row, I wouldn't even get that far. If I'm 3 holes in a row where I'm leaving my putts short, I would rather see them roll 3-4 feet by
than half a rotation short again.
Another fucking tap in that's an inch away, 100%. But I mean, it definitely does speak to the consistency of Corey's game and where his game is at right now, which is nothing but exciting to me because, like you said, I mean, if 2 of those putts drop, we have a whole different conversation about who won this tournament.
Yeah.
It didn't go Corey's way. Could he have, changed up his strategy and gone for it? Yeah, but that also could have left us to blowing it by 6 feet and 3 putting, and then we're having a conversation about what the fuck's going on with Corey's putters. So this game of golf is weird, man. It really is. But to answer your question, I would 100% pick Corey's round rather than Colin's in terms of, trying my best to chase it down, having the consistent play, hitting the fairways, hitting the greens, and just missing those putts. A couple of those putts drop. It's a whole different story.
That's fair. I see your point of view on that one. And yeah, no, that makes sense here. I mean, honestly, could have been a really big day for Corey. Really happy with how he performed throughout the entire tournament as a whole. And he definitely gave us some exciting end of the day on Sunday moments there. But what could have been. And even with Keegs, right? I mean, they weren't paying attention until he finished his 9th hole. And then all of a sudden it was, look what he did in the front 9. And then he just parred his way out, right?
Yep. Golf's hard, brother.
Yeah, golf is really hard. I mean, for Corey Conners, they normally say, golf's a game of inches. It was a game of millimeters for Corey Conners on Sunday, and unfortunately, he was on the other end of it. But
absolutely.
Strong showing out of the kid.
Absolutely. Another top 10 out of our guy, Shane motherfucking Lowry. So great showing to see Shane Lowry continue to play his best golf. And then, of course, we had Willie Z and Wyndham both tying for 22nd. So, I mean, one stroke away from having 5 players in the top 20 is a really good spot for our team. And obviously it showed in terms of the standings.
Yeah. And I mean, like I was telling you last week, I had a really good feeling about this week. It, turned out to be true. I looked at our players and how they performed the year prior at that event, and it was eerily similar. Right? Eerily similar. I'm pretty sure I have it written down on this sheet here.
Back to the paper.
Yeah, right. It's kind of good while you got pieces of paper and whatnot. But with this week on tour, where were we? Just too much writing down here. I'll get that out here. Too much writing on this messy piece of paper here,
right?
Eh?
Chicken scratch writing.
Yeah.
Another reason why the laptop is key, because it writes it out for me. So let's move on to this week on tour, because this week is a very big week. It is the Players, arguably the 5th major coming up this week, we have Scottie Scheffler defending. And of course, Scottie Scheffler last year in the 50th iteration of the Players' Championship was the first to ever go back-to-back. Scottie now defending, trying to go for a three-peat and create an absolute Players' Championship dynasty here.
Yeah, I mean, with Scottie there, I know his game hasn't fallen off. He just hasn't won this year yet. Would you be as confident in him this year being a repeat champion as you were last year in him being a repeat champion? And that saying, we saw him come back from, 9 down on Saturday to come back and end up winning the tournament by one stroke on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And to be honest with you, it's the same question that I have written down here in my notes as well. I mean, when you take a look at the comparisons of Scottie last year to this year, I mean, it's hard to say Scottie's fallen out of form because Scottie's out of form is better than the majority of anyone's form. So I don't think that he's fallen out of form, but he's definitely not in the same form that he was in last year. I mean, last year he already had 4 top 10s and a win going into this week.
He had won Arnold Palmer
100%. And that was on his kind of famous stretch there where he ended up winning 4 out of 5 tournaments, only losing 1 tournament by being in second place. So, I mean, he was on an absolute unstoppable run. Which led me into a lot of conversations. I'll call it more arguments with a few people saying that he was on a quote-unquote Tiger-esque run, where I was told very politely, never compare anyone to Tiger fucking Woods ever again, right? But, I mean, am I as confident that Scottie wins the Players this year than he did last year? No. I'm not as confident, but that doesn't mean that I'm not confident. Does that make sense to you? I mean, last year, I thought it was a 100% guarantee, ended up being one, right? Like, that was a very, very exciting week for me to watch. It was a very, very exciting Sunday to watch him, just absolutely steamroll the leaderboard and come up to win in that spectacular fashion. Does he have it in him again this year? I mean, Scottie this year has been a little bit different on when he has not been leading, he hasn't had the ability to do that and to absolutely just make a charge up that leaderboard. So I'm not confident that Scottie will be able to come back from 5, 6, 7, 8 strokes, right? I'm confident that Scottie's going to be able to be in the top 5 going into Sunday. And if he's in the top 5 going into Sunday, you better fucking believe he's going to win the tournament, right? Yeah. So, but it's just, I don't think that his level of play as of right now is in the same place that it was last year. And I mean, rightfully so. Like, last year was insane. And I mean, if you continue to play that way, your name's Tiger, your last name's Woods. And that's just a really, really hard feat. And I mean, that's kind of something that Tiger really did to us as the viewers is like you said with Colin. I mean, we now just expect this and we're not able to appreciate what he's still doing and the amount of top 10s he's putting up. And he's playing phenomenal golf, but he's not playing golf to the level of last year.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Again, he's only had a few tournaments this year, right? So it is what it is, right? Like, you could look at last year, 3 tournaments to get him to his win. Is this the win that, those 3 tournaments got him to?
That's fair.
That could be happening, right? And, I don't think he's having a bad year whatsoever. It's just not the Scottie that we've come to expect. But I think your issue when you compare him to Woods is that you tried to do it at the very beginning of his run instead of saying at the end of his run. Let's compare it now. Was that Tiger like on win 3 in a row? You could say, oh, he's Tiger. We can go back and say, yeah, but Tiger did that 5 years in a row, this many tournaments for 5 years straight. You're talking to me about 5 tournaments in 1 year. Talk to me at 5 years later, right? Like, that's where the other people are coming from, in the sense of you're just too early on the train of this is a Tiger run. You need to do it after.
I think that for me, the big difference as well is I wasn't watching golf. One, wasn't old enough to appreciate even if I was, but I was not a fan of the game, definitely not the professional game when everyone else was witnessing the greatness that is Tiger. So when I'm comparing a Scottie Scheffler run to a Tiger run, I mean, maybe rightfully so, we should just be starting to call this stuff Scottie runs because, I mean, look at Tiger now. Unfortunately, we got the news today, tore his Achilles again. So I don't think that, honestly, don't think that we'll see Tiger play golf honestly anytime soon, but maybe never again competitively, just the way that his body continues to deteriorate, unfortunately. And all that I'm trying to do is appreciate the greatness that I'm watching. Yeah. Because to me, Scottie Scheffler is my Tiger Woods in a way. You know what I mean? Like, he is definitely our generational talent that we have right now. Yeah. And instead of saying, oh, you know, Tiger did that 5 times or Tiger has this record. Tiger has records that will never be touched, that never should have been humanly possible to make. And I don't think that it's fair to take away from what Scottie did or is doing just because it isn't that level. It's still, to me, as a generational thing and against the players that he's playing against, very, very comparable.
Yeah, I mean,
but not identical.
Truthfully, comparisons come with greatness, and Scottie is showing greatness, right? So, I mean, it's par for the course. I just think that specifically, you know, you hit it right on the head. We never really were paying attention to all the tournaments that Tiger is winning. And yeah, I can read all the stats. I can watch all the interviews. I can watch things back. It doesn't truthfully compare to how things were back then when, like, I wonder what the betting odds were for Tiger during some of those runs. Like when he was coming up to a 120, field tournament, is he like a plus 120 to win, right? Like what were things looking like back then? I don't think we can truly appreciate or understand it, but I think we can appreciate the greatness we do see in Scottie. So I think that was a great point. I think we should just start calling these Scottie runs because that's what we're used to.
I'm 100% with you on that, brother. Let's change our verbiage, and this is Scottie run.
Yeah,
right? A Scottie-esque run. And I mean, I can only imagine the betting odds being very similar. I don't think that Scottie has teed it up this year and had positive odds as the winner. Like, he's been in the negative odds to win the tournament every single time he's teed it up so far. So I
the top 5. I don't think win though.
Win. His betting odds right now is minus. His betting odds last week was minus.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean it's yeah, I think it's one of those things that even though he has not been, he has not been living up to the same level of play as last year, he still is showing us absolute greatness for sure. But Scottie's not the only player, obviously, that's playing.
Nor is it on our team.
And our team, speaking of our team, we got 12 guys in the field this week. So very, very, very exciting.
The whole team, buddy, all 12.
Whole team's out there. It's the largest purse of the season.
I mean, here, let me say a few things here, okay? So last week I led off with saying, I feel really good about this week. Here's some scores from last year's event. So I got them up here. I saw them the literal moment you switched subjects. And I was like, all right, I'm going to have to wait to get this one out. But you best believe I'm going to get this thing out, okay?
When you get me rolling, I don't stop rolling, baby.
No, please, I don't get you rolling. You just start rolling yourself, and then I just wait for my moments to get in there. But
let me give you your moment then.
So last year at Arnold Palmer, we had Wyndham in second, Lowry third, Zally fourth, right? Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm feeling really good. We've got some good finishes. Last year at this event, our team, okay, at the Players Championship, we had second place Shoffley, second place Wyndham Clark. They were tied. 9th place McNeely, 13th place Connors, 19th place Kitty, 19th place Lowry.
I like it.
I'm feeling really, really good about this. Again, like...
I like it.
I'm feeling really good. We've got some strong finishes here. This is another big event. I like that it's back-to-back big events because
100%.
It feels like golf is back now. Like a lot of the other tournaments, it just felt like we're waiting for some of these larger events to happen. And now it feels like golf is back. And it really brings me back to these thoughts and these conversations we had around these lower events and, what does the tour do? And, this stuff rocks. I fucking love these elevated events. I'm fucking so pumped for this weekend. Again, I'm a little busy this weekend, but I will be making time to make sure that I'm watching on Sunday and as much as I can on Saturday. Again.
Talk about busy. I'm out in San Francisco this weekend.
You are.
I'm definitely going to have to find some time to either watch it or I'm going to be tossing up, the replays in the hotel every single night. And the guys are going to have to fucking deal with that. Especially Sunday, I'm going to be in the airport, so I'll be watching. I'll be watching from my phone while I'm waiting for the plane. But big week. The players. I would 100% agree with you. The elevated event schedule just continues to show us exactly why they went that path. Look at Bay Hill, not to bring it back up again, but the cut at 50 players, having twosomes off the first tee, pace of play was under 4 hours. Like, always action, always seeing big shots. You're not waiting on anything. The elevated structure works, man. And
it does.
It's kind of an interesting dynamic that we have on the pod because I'm sick in the head and I'll watch all of those mule events, but I can understand why the elevated events make those ones seem so much lower and less interesting. So it's kind of, that catch-22. The elevated events definitely make the elevated events a much better product to watch, a much more exciting product to watch. But it does that at the expense of the other ones. And unless you're, a diehard golf fan or, you have some sort of problem in your head, you're not really going to be watching the lower ones. But I'll tell you, I'm okay with that every single day of the week. Like that is a trade-off that I will take 10 times out of 10 for the absolute hype that we have every single time that we go into one of these events. Yeah.
Truthfully, like looking at this weekend, anytime you can play TPC Sawgrass, it's going to be a good week. I've got actually some cool little trivia kind of points here.
Hit me with it.
So the land for TPC Sawgrass, and don't ask me how I know this information. I just saw it and I thought, that's interesting. I like that shit. So the land was bought in 1979. Okay. Guess how much you think they bought it for?
10 grand.
$1 million. 415 acres of all swamp. And then they created TPC Sawgrass. It's been the Players' Championship since 1982. So we're going on well over 20, 30, 40 years now that we've been running this event here.
Yep.
It makes me I wonder what that property would be worth today. 150, 250 million or more. Oh my God. Talk about money, insane. Insane. Yeah. So shouts out to TPC Sawgrass. You guys are putting it on for the golf courses around the country right now.
Absolutely. And I love going back to elevated events. I love watching TPC Sawgrass. I love all of these events that go back to the same course every single year and bring back that history on how many shots and iconic calls have we seen on 17. And you know what I mean? It really, really ramps up the hype. And I understand the need to move around as well for the other events. It changes things up, but man, do I ever love TPC.
I was going to say, listen, I do understand that a bit, but part of me doesn't like when things change and when names of events change. And I understand that a lot of that's just due to sponsors changing and things like that. But the cognizant, I don't know. I'm one for keeping things the same. I like knowing that the Players is always at TPC Sawgrass. I love that 17th green. You know what I mean? The amount of times I've played it on video games thinking, I would be putting this in the water if that was the one shooting. It's only 130, and that's a number I love, actually. I quite love a 130 shot, 135 shot. But hey, guess what? I'd be putting that in the water every day of the week.
Hey, the pros do it, brothers. So.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But I don't know. There's something about it being the same course all the time and having that kind of history behind everything, right? And it's I think it's just that adds to an aspect of golf, and
100%. And I think that having repeat courses, they just bring back the allure. But if you didn't have, like, I'll give you an example. If every single golf event was always at the exact same golf courses, we would get sick of them, right? The fact that the Masters is so special is, one, obviously we're going to Augusta National, but also that the other three majors change every single year. It's our one consistent major every single year in the same spot. Same thing with the Players, right? We have TPC Sawgrass. But if every single tour event every single year was at the exact same courses, I think that we would get a little bored of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get part of what you're saying. I guess it never bothers me when, you know, the English Open is at a different historical golf course each time. It doesn't bother me that the US Open is at a different golf course each time. But it does when these smaller events change. So I don't know why. Maybe it's just because of the importance of the bigger events, and I know what that what that tournament means compared to the other ones, and maybe that's why it doesn't bother me that it changes. Or maybe I'm just, you know, a space head with space head ideas and space head thoughts, and I'm just spaced out half the time.
Yeah,
dude.
man, because that take confuses the absolute fuck out of me. But just to confuse me a little bit more, I'm going to ask you this question.
Yeah, I love it.
We love TPC Sawgrass. We love it because it's the Players. If this was the Cognizant, would you be as excited to see TPC Sawgrass, or is it because it's the Players?
It's because it's the Players, and that's what I'm saying is that. To me, I think it's more about the importance of the tournament and having it be the same course than anything. But then thinking about it being US Open, they're not going to like 18 different courses. There's like a select few really unique and elite courses they go to. And there are moments at each of them when they're there that is US Open's been here 12 years ago. And this person, like, there is history behind each of those changes. So like, I don't know.
I mean, you got to throw some new ones in there. I mean, look at, LA Golf Club, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, that was a new one that we had in the US Open. So they do put in new courses, you know, every once in a while. I kind of get what you're saying. I mean, I think it goes back to the non-important tournaments per se are just not important to you, and it's just adding another level of non-importance because you don't know what the course is. Is that kind of fair?
I mean, that's fair, but I also think that's 90% of people that watch golf.
100%. Yeah.
Right? I mean, it just kind of speaking from the heart in the sense of like not trying to appease anyone's opinion. This is just how I feel, and I truly think a lot of the casual fans have the same kind of thought process, right? And for most of them, they probably don't even think or care about the course unless it's one of the historic ones, like a TPC Sawgrass. And that's something like the TPC 17 green is something that you could tell a casual fan and they'll know, most likely, like a casual fan will know that's the Island green.
So let me ask you then. I mean, we've talked a lot about these lower tiered events. And you've talked about, you know, how we can hype them up. Do you think better courses or staying at the same courses would aid in bringing more hype to a lower tier event? Like,
it's a great question. I don't think the course has any effect on the lower tier events. I think it's more in the sense of the people playing the courses, like the field itself, that has a lot to do with it. And then just general fatigue of the golf season. So a casual fan is going to pay attention to this weekend, but they're not going to pay attention to one of the off weeks in between before the Masters comes up, right? When you're you're a casual fan, you're a busy person, you're taking a look at the golf season, you're like, all right, I'm earmarking Masters weekend, I'm earmarking, like, you're going to find your events you're going to watch. And unfortunately, I don't think changing course is going to affect that on most casual fans because the field is not going to entice someone to watch on a menial weekend that doesn't mean anything to them as the watcher, the viewer.
I'm just trying to get into your head there and just kind of get an understanding. Because again, I mean, the Cognizant, which the classic PGA National every year. So, I mean, there are some of those lower tiered events that do repeat, some that change. So I'm just trying to, get an understanding of where your head's at.
I think for me, at the end of the day, it's like I'm super pumped about this weekend because of the history, the uniqueness of this tournament, the intensity of it, how hard it is, and the field.
Cool. Well, let's talk about that excitement and let's talk about that field and let's get into 20s, 10s, and 5s. Now, before getting into this week, obviously, let's get into how we did last week. So, Tan, start me off. How'd you do last week? How'd your top 20 do?
Yeah, let's get this out here. So, just to start it off here, we're going to go back into this. It's Shane at 5, Tanner at 3. Okay. That's the scoreboard coming into this week. So
don't lose that paper.
There we go. They're all here, big dog, all of them. So I had Russell Henley top 20, and he cashed that for me.
He sure did.
He cashed that. I forget how he finished. Was it T7? Oh no, he was first. He won the tournament. So there it is, Tanner on the board with a top 20 finish out of Russell Henley. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. Thank God for Captain Keegan because I did not fall one behind. My top 20, of course, last week being Captain Keegan. Finished T5 this week. Cashed that bet easily. Great week. 69, 72, 76, 64. We already touched on, the Ryder Cup. We already touched on the 9-hole scoring record. Mm-hmm. Now we can touch on the fact that I did not fall one bet behind with my top 20 cashing as well. So let's move to top 10. How'd your top 10 do?
Love it. Love it. So unfortunately, I didn't get the win on my top 10. I had Thomas. And JT actually had a really good chance to do it. He was in the top 10 the entire weekend, basically. He had a +4 on his final day. And mind you, even if he went even, he wasn't going to finish top 10 for me. He would have still been outside of that top 10. But having a +4 on your final day on a Sunday, it's just a little disappointing. T36. I think we had a lot of nice things to say about Thomas last week and the week before. Unfortunately, he just didn't kind of come through on that last day there. So didn't get the win with Thomas there.
That's okay because my top 10, as you remember, was our guy Xander, and we already know how that ended up. T40, really, really tough start to the weekend in his first round back, shooting a 77. I mean, we touched on it a little bit earlier. Shot that 69 on Sunday, starting to get back into form, really positive in terms of, how he's going to be golfing moving forward into the season now that he's back and he's got some reps under his belt. But obviously a T40 was not good enough to cash that top 10 bet for me last week.
Yeah. All right, and then we both had the same top 5 pick, which didn't cash for us, Rory.
Yeah, of course, Rory finishing T15, but I mean, still some positive things to say about Rory and his consistency. I mean, he started the week off well with a pair of 70s, right? Didn't do so well on the weekend with a 73 and a 72, but really consistent scoring out of Rory and just continuing on with the year of Rory, another top 20 under his belt for this season and moving on and moving forward to the Players where he obviously has won before. So let's then get into our picks this week, Tan. Who do you got for your top 20 this week?
Yeah. Okay. So my top 20 this week, I'm kind of going with someone on our team.
Love it.
And this person did T19 last year, so would have just snuck it in. 35th the year before, 13th the year before that. His game has been, looking really good lately. He has been, appearing high up on those leaderboards. He's really only been in 4 tournaments so far, but has scored very well in all 4 of those tournaments. And I'm going to bet that our guy, Shane Lowry, continues that good play and pulls out a top 20 for me.
Yeah, really interesting pick that you have. I love Shane Lowry, as you know. That's my name twin. Mm-hmm. I love watching him. I love cheering him on. I was taking a look at, my picks today as well, and I did notice that Shane Lowry has 3 top 20s in his last 5 appearances at the Players, including 1 top 10. Shane Lowry's in great form right now. He's playing some really good golf. Shane Lowry is also my pick for top 20 this week, plus 145. I thought it was an absolute, one of those easy money, keep it going, keep winning every single week. And that's why I picked Shane Lowry for my top 20 as well.
Okay. Well, I love to see it. I love when we agree on these things. It works out well for me. So these next two picks that I had, I kind of went through like 4 or 5 players on who I was wanting, what I was going with. I ended up going with my guy Straka. Okay. I
don't mind it.
16th last year, had a pretty bad year the year before. But then he was top 10, 3 years ago, or I guess, it'd be 3 years ago. Right. His game has just been, progressing so well this year. He's already got a win under his belt. And, he did really well this tournament as well, got inside the top 10. I'm going to continue hoping that their play stays as good as it's been, and hope for a top 10 out of Straka this week.
Beautiful. Love that pick. My pick for top 10 was an interesting one as well. Since winning this event back in 2019, he's really struggled here at the Players. But 2019 was a really big year for this player. In 2019, they won the FedEx Cup. They won the PGA Tour Player of the Year. They won the Vardon. They won the Byron Nelson. It was deemed the year of this player, and we continue to say that this year is the year of this player. It is the year of Rory fucking McIlroy, and I have Rory as my top 10. Looking to see him start, a 2019-esque run, starting with his win here at the Players and continuing it in terms of, getting his hopeful career Grand Slam as well. But for this week, I will be cheering on Rory and hoping he gets the top 10 for me. That's plus 105.
Love that for you. Honestly, I think that's a great pick. Rory has been in great form recently. We have been saying it's the year of Rory. I mean, it's the year of Rory so far, as far as things are concerned. It's a long year, and this is kind of ramping us up. So, I mean, if he could get the win here, if he could finish in the top 10 here, that's going to bode really well for him as he makes his way onto the Masters there. And I think we're both kind of paying close attention to what that line's going to look like for Masters for Rory. Might be sprinkling that one a little bit.
For sure.
All right, so we're going to go top 5. And I think this was where I struggled the most. And so I'm going to take you down a little story here, okay? A little tour. This is the tour of my brain, okay? And so I'm going to take you back 5 years, okay? The day before COVID stopped the world.
All right.
Okay.
Setting the scene. I like it. It's dark so far, but let's
Thursday.
Go. What time on Thursday?
I mean, I didn't have a time prepared, but it's Thursday. Players Championship, okay? It's day 1.
Yep.
All right. And Matty Suma goes in with a -7 to lead the pack. All right. All of a sudden, the world starts closing down. PGA Tour announces that the fans can't come on Friday. And then 40 minutes later, the PGA Tour announces that they've canceled the tournament and that the season will be on hold until further notice. Matsuyama, Matty boy.
Matty Suma.
The golf gods robbed him. They robbed him, and they're going to giveth. They're going to giveth 5 years later. I've got Matsuyama. Top 5.
Hideki, top 5.
I mean, just to also put this in there, he's had 4 top 10s here, and he's had top 10s the last 2 years here as well. So
just for the people so that they understand, Tanner's picked Hideki Matsuyama.
Yeah, okay, Matsuyumi. That's what I said.
Interesting pronunciation, but I like the pick. I mean, I've doubted Hideki.
Did you like my story?
I mean, I kind of enjoyed the story, okay. I guess. Yeah,
okay, good. That's what's important, man.
Yeah, hopefully,
I worked hard on that.
Hopefully somebody else does a little bit more than me, I think. I can see the amount of effort that you did. And I mean, your brain is a windy-ass fucking road. It's not a straight street. So I'm glad that we got to where we were going pretty quickly, because I think that we could have gone down,
if we want to start talking about tangents and rabbit holes, you need to talk about yourself there, kid.
I mean, tangents for sure, but, it is what it is. My top 5 for this week has only played this tournament once in his career, and that once was last year where he was solo 8th. He's been playing a hell of a lot better this year. He has 1 win and 2 top 5s in his last 5 events played at plus 320. I picked my guy Luddy to top 5 this tournament.
You know, I was looking over the odds today. I honestly thought this was going to be your pick for top 5 was Luddy. I had this thought in mind. I was like, I'm going to take it from him, but no, I didn't. You know who I was really intrigued by? I wanted to put in here, but I didn't want to take out Lowry, and I just wasn't confident in making it a top 10 pick. Siwoo Kim.
Interesting.
He has some really, really good finishes here, and he's been playing very well as of late. I'm pretty sure he was I know the top 20 this last weekend. Could have been top 10 if I saw it correctly, but I think that's a name to watch out for. Siwoo Kim this week, guys.
Siwoo Kim.
How did he finish this last week?
T19.
19,
yep,
so inside
T19.
top 20. Okay.
Yeah, right. With your other guy, Sung J.M. So,
yeah, my guy.
You know what? Interesting. I think that's a player that we should keep our eyes on.
Yeah.
Just because it seems like every single time you have a player where you say, hey, that's going to be the best player in the field, and you don't pick him, he
ends up doing well, right?
They do pretty well. So I'm really interested to see how that plays, and then I'm going to start asking you who you think your favorite player is and start putting them into
I mean, if you ask me
so.
who's the best golfer is at this tournament, Scotty.
Well,
you can't.
Yeah, obviously. Well, I think that's it. I mean, I got nothing on the live golf front other than, obviously negotiations going fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Nothing on the TGL front. Obviously, that's coming up this coming Monday and Tuesday for the playoffs. So really excited to be able to watch that and see how the TGL playoffs, map out there, but even more excited to watch the players, of course, this week. And let me ask you, Tanner, before we go, Creator Classic, you going to be watching?
No.
All right, beautiful. Well, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.